Good morning, dear students. Like I said in the previous video, that there would be a separate video for only writing skills. Alright, so let's begin with the first one. Now, you'll have been doing letter writing for quite a while, starting from I think 4th, 5th standard. You all should already be well versed with how to write a letter. You know that letters are of two types, you have formal and informal. So, in your paper, also, there will be an option. Okay, you could choose to write either a formal letter or an informal letter. Now, when you write a letter, your emotions, opinions should be expressed well and through proper words. Alright, so if you're writing a formal letter, the words and the language that you use to address a person, now usually you write a formal letter maybe to the editor or to the mayor, or you're inviting someone maybe for an exhibition. So the language that you use there should be appropriate. If you're writing an informal letter, it can be a little more, uh, you know, you can use maybe certain Indian words like how is mama, mami, whatever, all right. But language also should be kept in mind, what kind of language you are using in the letter. All components of a letter should be written to the left. Now, um, in the beginning, we used to write in a zigzag pattern. All right, the sender's address used to be written to the right. Then you had maybe your salutation, dear, whoever, to the left by the margin. Now the new format is everything is written to the left hand side. So please make sure your address, the receiver's address, your subject, who you're greeting, and even the end, that is thanking you, yours sincerely, whatever, all of this has to be written towards the margin side. Students should use the information given. Now, in your letter, it is possible that we might give you who you have to write as. Okay, the names will be given, addresses will be given, and what content has to be written, what is the topic, that will also be given. So using all that information, you will have to write your formal or informal letter. Remember, all your writing skills are for 5 marks. Now, when you're writing a formal letter, not to forget firstly the sender's address and date. All right, it has to be written in a straight line. The receiver's address, recipient means the receiver who you're writing to. Make sure that all of that also is correct information. When you finish that, you have to leave a line, write the subject. Now, subject, please make sure is short and precise. You do not have to write exactly what is given in the um, in your question paper. All right, you should be able to summarize the subject and write it down. For example, if you're asking the principal for leave, application for 5 days leave, that's it. And then you write it in your letter why you're taking leave, from which day to which day. All right, the main body is your main content, what you are writing. And of course, then you have your conclusion. When you're writing a formal letter, maybe if I told you like you're writing to the principal, so you continue to say that I look forward to you replying with a positive answer. Or maybe, if you're asking for leave, that you would continue to do your studies or complete your work when you get back. Conclude that, and then thanking you, yours sincerely. You write your name. Now, before you used to write XYZ or ABC, you cannot write that anymore. A name has to be mentioned. It could be your actual name, or it could be any fake name that you want to give. All right. Now, with the informal letter, you all already know the format. You all only need to have the sender's address and date. Then you have a greeting. Okay, if you're writing to your parents, or if you're writing to an auntie or an uncle. All right, so depending on that, you greet them, dear uncle, dear auntie, dear brother, sister, whatever. Okay, main body, of course, is your actual content, what you're going to write, and then, of course, your conclusion. I've given you some examples here. You can pause the video and read through them. Next, you have transfer of information. Now, here you have two types, verbal to non-verbal and non-verbal to verbal. All right. Now, the first one is verbal to non-verbal. What do you mean by verbal? There will be a passage given to you. Okay. text passage will be given to you. You have to read what is in that passage, and then depending on what we ask you in your question paper, either to draw a pie diagram or maybe a flow chart or maybe a tree diagram, based on that you have to fill in the information from the passage in that particular uh, graphic layout. Okay, so don't forget, you need to have a title. If there is no title, marks will be cut. When you are reading the passage, all points must be covered. Important points, whatever you need to mention in the layout. Appropriate graphic layout, I told you, like we might ask you to do, like a pie diagram or a flow chart, whatever is asked correctly, that needs to be followed. Then again, from non-verbal to verbal, where we will give you the diagram and you have to put it down in words. So you will have to write a passage. Again, title very important. Without that, you will not get your marks. Okay. The points that are given to you, you have to use those points and make sentences, elaborate on your own. All right. And of course, good language and conclusion. Use appropriate language when you're talking, when you're writing, and also a proper conclusion. Now I've given you examples here. Can you see on your left hand side there is a flow chart given to you? Okay, so a procedure of how paper is manufactured is given to you, and next to that, can you see the title is given, manufacture of paper? The first line you write on your own, like an introduction line. Paper is chiefly used for writing. Then you begin with using the points that have been given to you. Alright, please have a proper conclusion. Now, this is from verbal to non verbal. So, we have given you the passage and you have to make it into the non verbal. Here, from non verbal to verbal, here you have a flow chart given to you again. Can you see the arrows, how it's moving? There is a flow of how things take place. Alright, so here you have to transfer this information into a passage form. Okay, you can pause and read through. Speech writing and format. Now you'll already have seen how many students come on stage to give speeches for various occasions like Independence Day, Republic Day, Teachers Day. Alright, so when you are writing a speech, you should be able to follow a particular format. Firstly, you need to have an appropriate beginning. When you are starting a speech, you always say a salutation, a good morning, or good afternoon, whenever you are giving the speech. You address the important people that are in front of you, starting with the first person in authority. Like if you're giving it in a normal school assembly, then you start with the principal, the supervisors, the teachers, and then you come to my dear friends. But if you're giving it on an occasion, for example, for Independence Day, then you know you have a chief guest. So you have to say, address the chief guest, then the principal. So there should be a sequence. You just cannot say parents, my dear friends, teachers, and then put the chief guest. All right, you have to follow that particular order. Of course, the body is your main, content, what you are going to speak on. All right, so you use the points which you have been given along with the additional points. And of course, you're speaking in front of so many people, so your language also has to be appropriate. You cannot use any slang language. All right, sequence and flow. You should be able to have a proper sequence in your speech. If you have a speech where certain points which were supposed to come at the end come in the beginning, and the points that come in the beginning come at the end, then your speech will not have the correct effect that it has to give. And of course, you have good language and conclusion. When you conclude with a speech, always give a message. All right, like for example, if you are giving a speech on empowerment of women, like for Women's Day, all right, so you always end with a nice happy note. Okay, you give maybe a quotation, or maybe you can give some sort of a inspiring message, all right, which people can take back with them, which they can think about. All right, so a speech is always supposed to have an impact on the audience. So how do you end your speech has a very important role to play. Now here, this is an importance of yoga on yoga day. All right, so you can talk about how yoga has various meanings and how it is useful to man if he practices yoga. Now here, if you notice, I have written A, B, C. Alright, there comes your name, any fictional name, any fake name that you want to give. Okay, you can pause and read through. Now you have view and counter view. Alright, now view, counter view. I'm sure all of you all have at least seen a debate that has taken place. Okay, in school we used to have debate competitions. Okay, where one is for the topic and one is against the topic. Okay, so view is for, that means I support what the topic is, and counter view is I am against. Okay, now in your exam you will be asked either one, either to give a view or to give a counter view. And when you have to write either one, suppose if I ask you to give a view of a certain topic, then I will give you certain points for counter view. Using those points you can write your views. It's just the opposite, right? Because why do you have view and counter view? Because two people have different opinions about something, so it will be opposite. So here you need to remember, of course, title is very essential. You need to have an appropriate beginning, good vocabulary and grammar, use of proper language, and expressing opinions in logical order. Very important. Okay, if you're going to express your views, it has to be very strong. Appealing and convincing thoughts. When you're expressing your thoughts, your opinions, it should convince that person who's listening that yes, okay, I agree with this person. All right, and also to have a very good conclusion. Now here, can you see I've given you um, views. All right, you have to write counter view. So can you see how the title is written? I have written counter view, and then you write the topic that is given to you. Okay, and usually you should begin your paragraph by saying I strongly oppose, and then whatever has been given to you, because it's a counter view. Okay, and if it's a view, you're supporting, so I strongly support, and then the topic that's given to you. Okay, so you can pause this video and you can read through what has been given as a view or a counter view. Of course, if you know how to write counter view, you will be able to write how you can write your views. Next we come to expansion of theme. Okay, and I told you here you might get a quotation or a proverb or a slogan. Okay, like Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. So write something about that. Expand your views about it. Okay, so you should have a proper title. Have a proper beginning. Good vocabulary and grammar. The sentence formation, spellings, all of these will be very important. Expressing opinion in order and sequence. Now that you know that this is required for almost all writing skills, and of course to have a good conclusion, you can end also with a message. Okay, here I've given you very easy topic. Time is money. You can pause and read through. News report. Now all of you all have already done this, I think, in the previous classes, so this shouldn't be much of a problem for you all. When you read a newspaper, you can always see that an article has a headline to it, a very catchy headline. All right, so you can have the title and then the date line. Very important. A date line is where you write only the place where it has taken place and the date. Okay, for example, if you're talking about an exhibition, you're reporting an event, that is the exhibition that has taken place in wherever, in your area or in your school, then you mention there, all right, Pune, and then you write the date, July 16th or whatever, and then you begin writing your report. Again, vocabulary has to be very good in order for, because it's a news article, right? In the newspaper you cannot make a mistake. You need to have proper language. Again, logical order. If you're talking, if the mayor attended this exhibition, okay, or an important local corporator has come for the exhibition, so you must mention that this particular person attended the exhibition and it made it even more auspicious. Now you cannot write this in the end. Okay, there has to be a proper logical sequence to all of this. Of course, appropriate layout. First, you start with when this took place, where it took place, at what time, if it took place on the grounds or in the school hall, who attended it, okay, what was the feedback of the people, and then you end by saying that the event was conducted in a successful manner or it went off smoothly, okay, and then you have your conclusion. Here I've given you a small little article. Can you see? Write down by Karan and Kirti. Either one. If you're a boy, then you'll obviously choose Karan. If you're a girl, you will choose the name Kirti. Here also, little information will be given to you in the question paper. So using that information, you write down your article. Okay, you need to write down by whom. If you don't want to write your own name, make up a name and write it down. Now, this is very easy, children. You all have read so many stories, alright? So, you all should know how to write a story also. A story usually has a title, okay? And then you have a proper beginning, once upon a time or whatever. And then grammar, vocabulary, of course, because it's an English paper, you have to pay attention to that. Appropriate points and sequence. Again, your story should have a proper flow, a proper sequence, a proper layout, and then in the end, a proper conclusion. So here I've given you a small little example of a story. All right. Now you have to give a suitable title, and here I have given you the ending. Okay. So the ending is given and decided to forget about the past and become good friends again. So if you see the end of the story, I have underlined it for you to see that I have used the same words to end my story. After that, I do not make any more sentences or I do not continue writing. Narrate an experience, that is your own experience. You can write, this can be an actual experience or you can make up an experience, it doesn't matter. All right, again here you need to have a proper title with beginning, vocabulary and grammar, good ideas, appropriate ideas. There should be a proper sequence and of course your conclusion. Now here I've given you the beginning. I boarded the train happily and reached for my ticket when. Okay, so I've given you how the story or the experience has to begin. Then you have to use your imagination and be creative in your writing by imagining yourself in that situation and thinking what would happen and come to a proper conclusion. All right, you can pause and read through. Don't forget that a title has to be given. All right, so with that, we come to the end of our writing skills discussion. I hope you all do not have any doubts. If you all have, you can go back and view the video again. All right, so thank you, class. Have a nice day.